So, hello. Click to share this broadcast. All right, let's share it. Let's share it with, I don't know, 373 people. So, I don't understand. I wasn't even scoping, and we're now up to 348 followers. Like, it took 2 months to get the first 300, and in the last week, we got 48. So, this is insane. Once we get Patreon up to 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to sell, I think, the little that I have, and I'm just going to scope, man, on my three channels. I'm going to do mathematics, high school maths, uni maths. I'm going to do physics, advanced physics, high school physics, Booz and Byron, everyone's here. I'm going to teach the 6 languages, maybe Spanish if we have time, and I'll teach about autism and promote the book. so, so basically, that's what we'll do. So I've been getting a lot of messages from people who tell me interesting stories about their children, and every single one has been a mother so far, and it's been insane how many mothers have contacted me in the last month. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And they tell me about their children, and they tell me things which, I swear to you, change the name, and it's me. And my book has not even been released, so there is no way they could have known about my story. And yet they're telling me things that are unbelievably similar. And I was a kid in the 80s, and we're talking about kids in the early 2000s, and sometimes even like 2010, 11, 12, 13. So it goes to show you, I guess, that maybe there isn't that much of a difference between the proto-millennials and the Generation Z. I don't know, it's very crazy. So, first of all, your child is amazing. Uh, and there's nothing wrong at all with a child who's different. Being different is difficult for the child, but it's unbelievably rewarding as they grow up. It's hard when they may be intellectually the age of an adult and yet emotionally the age of a baby. And that's normally what happens if they are similar to me on the spectrum. And this is going to cause a lot of problems, not because there's anything wrong with them at all, but it's because the rest of the world is weird. Right? I always say everyone else has the problem, but we have to deal with it. If you're naturally someone who has, let's say 3 legs and 1 arm, right? You're going to be able to do some amazing stuff, but you're also going to be limited in other respects. And that's a massive deal. The world is weird, not me. Exactly. I love that one. That'd be a chapter in one of my next books, I think. The world is weird, not me. Yeah, I think I'll use that. It's important that I would say, if I could go back, and I don't know if this is right, all I can say is what I know is wrong. There are things that don't work, right? So, growing up in the 80s, before autism was even anything that existed, then, it basically, my kind of weird, you are a child that, don't worry, he'll grow out of it, or he's just a bit weird, or he's a bit silly, or, he's acting like a kid. When I was 13, and according to other people, acting like a 3-year-old. Yay. And that could not be understood, and especially from the culture that I came from, right? I came from a Middle Eastern culture, which back then, it's very different to now, but even now, right, it's very different. It's a much more community-based culture. And so this idea that one person can be so different from everyone else really makes no sense, because it's like, well, hold on, your mother and father and brother and sister and cousin and everyone else is quote unquote normal. Then you have to be normal. It's all in your head. It's all made up, And they can almost convince you that that's true, but deep down, it's not. You completely know it's not true. And there are other people that I see it with, right? A lot of mothers, it's insane how many mothers have come up to me in Australia and on Periscope, and even a couple from YouTube, right? And telling me about stories that are so uncannily similar to my stories, slightly differently, right? But, you'll have, when I was you know, when I was 4 years old, for example, I would want to tell the world about what I was reading because I was reading novels by 3, and by 5 I'd finish. Actually, not by 5, by 6.5. To be fair, by 6.5, I'd finished all of the 7 books of C.S. Lewis's Narnia Chronicles. And I go to school, and people can't even read. That's good. I like that. You are not alone. I am here. Anyway, yeah. Well, fingers crossed. It's the spectrum is bigger than they can imagine. And so I go to school, right? And I'm in first grade, and I'm talking to people. This is what happened, and this is what happened in Prince Caspian, and this was the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and this was the ship, and this was what happens in the weather, and you know, light can travel at 299,792 kilometers per second, and you know, the by the time I was 9, I was talking about time dilation, and then I finished the year 12, the high school physics when I was 12 years old in 7th grade, and all these things. So my brain was sort of at an adult's level, but the understanding of how to interact with people just was not there at all. It was like a child, and I remained a child. That's why now it's like maybe, I don't know, like at the age of 36, I'm still like, yeah, I don't know, whatever, who knows. But we're catching up. And that innocence is a beautiful thing. I'm a mother. I'm so glad to have found you. I've been following you for a couple of months. All right. You know what's so cool about Periscope is that you could never say that in real life. Imagine in real life walking up to your neighbor and going, I've been following you for 2 months. Sorry. I am honored, my dear. Absolutely honored. Thank you. Um, uh, it's like my father, you know, he goes, when I met your mother, I make sure I stay near her to keep her safe. Love your delivery. Thank you. I stalk happy. Happy stalker. Thank you. It means a lot. J Mama 420. Absolutely. All right. So let's get back to these people. These people will always be intellectually superior and emotionally inferior, right? And it will always be that case. So I am always drawn to people who are naturally emotionally superior, and some of them are on this scope and some of them are in real life, and I deliberately am drawn to that because that is a weakness and I want to enhance and try to mimic that behavior more and more. And you're still learning. Well, you know, in general, IQ starts to diminish rapidly after the age of 20, and only exercise can keep it up there, which is why I exercise every day, and vice versa. Someday about these mothers and their experiences, I might mimic or integrate. It's more mimicking, which has the illusion of integration. But when you do something wrong, you stand out and how you've helped. Hey, Kevro, I think I might sprinkles. Maybe we'll do a joint effort. We'll call it Sprinkles and GAbSmacked. Smacked by Sprinkles with Gab. Kevro, 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 Kev. All right. So, as we were saying, why censored? I don't know. Z censored. Hilarious. Wrong or different with sprinkles on top? No. Let's keep sprinkles on top for her boyfriend. Dance party. I think what you do is important. Likewise, my dear. Likewise. You spread joy, and we try to spread joy. Hello, Ryan. I enjoy gobsmacked content. Ha 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 ha. I can just keep reading the comments. This is crazy. All right. So coming back to trying to actually get my message across, which I'm doing a very bad job of, as always. Squirrel! Always get distracted, man. We all have to learn from someone. Mimic because there's no intuitive understanding of it. So anyone who sees me in real life, thank you, knows that I don't actually understand what's going on, but I can imitate the interaction. But my brain is counting. So I say, hello, how are you? 3, 2. And then they say, good, thanks, how are you? And I say, oh, I'm good, thanks. How's the family? 3, 2. Oh, family's good, thanks, that's great. Oh, and then I'm ready for my next line, which is normally, oh, really? Oh, that's great. Lovely to hear. So I've memorized the sayings, but there's no intuition, there's no feeling like that feels right or anything. I'm mapping it on past experiences consciously. Whether if other people do that pre-programmed, sort of, yeah, I guess. There's never integration. Well, I don't really think integration exists. I think integration is an illusion. May I ask you a question? You just did. Hey, hey, hey. Feel it. It's politeness. The assumption is because people figure it out from a young age, where I learnt it through therapy in my late 20s and became good at it in my very late 20s. That's why. I hope that I've joined your Dome Father correctly. I like how everyone calls him Dome Father now. When do you feel comfortable with certain people to not mimic? Never. When I'm on my own. that's, that's the only time. Yeah. Like, if my mum's around, I'll talk her ear off, but like, it'll really drive her nuts. Do you know what an autist feels when self-harming other than soothing self? There's a chapter on that called The Final Suicide in my book, actually, where I describe the joy of slicing the knife into my arm as the blood comes out, saying goodbye to everyone in my life, and finally the pain. They mimic it too. Okay. Maybe you learn to do that too. Maybe you're one of the brotherhood. That would explain your obsession with the details of the religious text. I would like to achieve the point of comfort to be safe for non-mimic safety. Yeah, I've heard that before from people. I don't think I've ever done that. I don't think I ever will, because I know as a child how bad that was, and growing up in my 20s. And what I'd prefer to do, yeah, my natural behavior is not really in your own time. It is a risk. What is it like when you don't mimic people? I think I come across as insane. Even more insane than you might think I am. Hey, True Faith is back. My son is 4, and this time for me with you is very enlightening. Thank you. Well, it is an honor. I so can't wait for this book to come out, and then all of you can read the damn book and elaborate. How was your relationship with other autistics? That's a very good question. We're all insane in our own way. This is true. This is true. With autistic thinking. Well, the students who are autistic, I connect with immediately, but then they become too friendly, and that annoys me. I like living on the grid. Too many questions at the same time. Yeah. Other autistics, it's easy. It's easy to hang out with them. I say, do you have a day without mimicking? No, you can't undo that stuff. Trust me, I've been there too many times. They are normal. Run far, far away. That's really good. That is so true. Yeah, well, for example, at that speech, if anyone saw the Mimic Free Monday, damn you and your freaking brilliant memes. And this is what I mean when I say you are socially gifted. You don't even realize it. Yes, I'm an outsider to autistics, but have been providing safety for years. Why do you mimic? My son does very often. Because it looks stupid to us. But if I don't do it, then I look stupid to everyone else. And I said this at my last, if you go to the second live autism speech on YouTube, I just uploaded a corrected version. And I talk about that actually. And there was an autistic guy in the audience. And actually Jennifer Briggs made a comment about something I said without even realizing. And that actually caught the attention of the autistic guy, because I knew he was one of my brethren immediately. And I was explaining to them that his behavior and what he was doing, and how his mother was thinking that he was being a bit obtuse, but he was actually focusing on trying to what I was saying. It's called, believe it or not, GAbSmacked. So, for example, this is mimicking. You see, like that's mimicking, but it's not mimicking as if I don't mean it. That's the problem. Hey, Melitza Sada, a fellow Maronite. Hello. All right, so the problem is that what I've learned with humans is that when I show them how I mimic, they then think I'm being fake, which is not true. I am communicating with them in the way that they understand. Hello, marhaba, ahlan wa sahlan. So, yes, I believe that one of our scopers here, he speaks the language of Jesus and is going to go to Lebanon in a week's time. I would love for you to Periscope from Lebanon. I miss Lebanon so much. They have like a massive Christian thing over there at the moment, which is, I sort of like it and don't. I obviously am not being a Christian, but at the same time, it's Mimic Free Monday sounds fab. I damn you, bloody booze and Byron. There, yes. Wait, you have a child. Do I have a child? Not that I know of, but you never know what call you could get one day. Hmm. Yeah, see, it's not possible. Your title. Lol. Yeah. You said in your title you have a. I said I have a child? Holy crap, what did I say? What's my title called? I have never been to Lebanon. Uh, Man, this is too bad. What's going to happen when we have like 5,000 followers? There's going to be too many questions. Your child is beautiful. He was making a quote. My child is beautiful. Everyone else is weird. Oh, sorry. Yes, I was talking about mothers that have that I've met over the last few months, both from Periscope and in real life, and their autistic children. Quotes from other parents. Yes, sorry. In a child as well, absolutely. And so the first mother with an autistic child who came to me was about 2 years ago. Use quotes next time. There you go. That's something I've learned now. Got to use quotes. It's all these rules I got to remember in my brain for regular humans. Um, yeah. So the first one was 2 years ago, and she did not know what to do. She's actually a fan now on Periscope as well, and she's been amazing. She's one of my best supporters from the beginning. She's amazing. She helps me work on my case for free, right? She's that good. Are you autistic? On the inside, but I have a nice Kinder Surprise shell of neurotypicality. Asperger and autism. Well, Asperger's has now been absorbed ever since about 3 years ago into the autism spectrum under high functioning autism. We all abide by various rules. I can only imagine what you go through, my friend. I can only imagine. If anyone doesn't know what I'm referring to, go to the Fun Guy's Twitter feed. The guy is amazing. The differences, never would have thought. Well, they reckon there's not much of a difference. The only difference that I can see is that the Asperger side have interests in one or two specific things, where the high functioning autist has a broad range of interests. And I think it has something to do with an underdeveloped hypothalamus. Is an utter joke. Maybe that's why. So that's why still people hold on to the Asperger idea. Come on. So yeah, so I met this. I'm trying not to look so I don't get distracted. But this lady came to my mother, and this was just when I had to move back home because of what was going on. And um, I had to move back home. And anyway, so this lady comes to my mother, and she has an autistic son, and basically his life was absolutely destroyed. So he was about 23 at the time. And so he'd already gone through a life of hell, basically pretty similar to what I went through. The difference is that he wasn't stranded in the Middle East with nothing to eat for 4 months. He wasn't bashed by students and picked on by teachers. That part he was okay with because he had a mother who was very involved in his life. Where my mother was a brilliant mother, but she was a high class, first class businesswoman. So she wasn't around as much as like a stay at home mother. And the stay at home mother, I think, also is a problem, because what she had done to this son was emasculate him to the point where he weighs like almost 120 pounds. So he was paper thin. Um, Basically had no confidence in himself as a male at all. Had the mind of a 12-year-old, refused to listen to anyone, and suffered from hyper-rationality. No, there was no diagnosis for me, but I was kicked, bashed, thrown around, starved. I mean, I went through a lot of that abuse, which completely changes your psyche, right? Um, of course, you suffer with PTSD the rest of your life, but hey, the good comes with the bad. So this guy suffered from hyper-rationality. And hyper-rationality is very dangerous, because you reach the point where, see, the autistic, right, if it's a high-functioning autistic child, they're probably light years ahead in IQ. And I see this, not just complex PTSD. And Um, the um, damn. What was I saying? What was I saying? Think. They're light years ahead in their IQ, and by the time they reach about 11 or 12 years old, they're already smarter than their parents. And that's a massive problem because they're not interacting with other people enough to realize that they're actually stupid in a lot of respects. And so they develop this hyper rationality where they actually believe they are intellectually superior to other people around them. And therefore, um, anything you would want to tell your mum? Let me hold on to that question for a sec. And they therefore become very difficult to speak to, especially from the mother. So the more the mother wants to get involved in their life, the more the child resists. And as they get older, it's to the child's detriment, but without the child realizing it. So the mother tries to force more and more advice on the child. And of course, that has the exact reverse effect, which then causes the child to then be pushed even further away and become further emasculated. Can you give stay-at-home mum of an autist any advice, anything you would want to tell your mum? I've had a lot of good conversations with my mum now. So I wasn't really friends with my mum until I was 33. 33 was when my brain sort of became a teenage male, like in terms of emotional. So I was able to start talking to people. I wasn't able to do that before. I would have factual conversations. A form of autism. I wouldn't be surprised. I find that it is definitely apparent in certain cultures more than others. Definitely, I would say in the Semitic cultures. So Assyrians, Armenians, Lebanese, Christian Iraqis, Syrians, Hebrew like Israelis, Greek. Those are all the Semitic strains. And for some, it's tied with that, I reckon, which is why I think so many Semitic people win Nobel Prizes. And they win Oscars and they win awards and they win all this stuff because they have something in their brain. All the charts. Yeah, see, I used to be obsessed when I was 16. I would walk into my mum's office and turn off every single monitor if any of the staff were not looking at their computer. I'd go in and turn it off. That's what I do. I couldn't help it. I have to go turn every single one off because of the use of the electricity was pissing me off. Do and don't apply to the patient. Everything has to be in order. Well, that could be OCD. Did I have seizures? No, I had hallucinations. I had pretty bad hallucinations up until the age of 6. And they tended to be giants stomping around. And I used to run into my parents' room and ask them if they could hear them. My mum would put vinegar on my forehead. Hey, speaking of Israelis, here comes Liran. My mum would put vinegar on my forehead. This is in the book as well. So a lot of that. Everything that you guys are telling me. Oh, yes, I didn't even tell you the rest of the story. So that lady I told you that I met 2 years ago, she's read the whole book. And she's now a diehard supporter. And that's awesome. She's freaking awesome. And what's funny, you must get the book. Absolutely. Pre-order it at... I need more pre-orders. We need another 225 pre-orders to publish it. It is gofundme.com/GAbSmacked. Put in $50, make it anonymous, and put in your postal address so I can send you a signed copy of the book. Middle East on Fire. Only now. Isn't that funny? Every time I come out with Arabic news to my private scopers, a few hours later it hits Western media. Yeah, and put in your postal address, and you're only going to get charged $30 because it's Australian $50. So put that in, and we're going to get closer and closer. I'm saving up, and I'm going to put in another $5,000 of my money. That's why, obviously, why I'm working, trying to save up. Oh, Al-Aqsa. Oh, sorry, the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Sorry, I got excited. Fair enough. Yeah. Fix them. All the other kids got so mad. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So, yeah, so she became a diehard supporter, and she's been amazing. So she actually went through. Well, thank you too. It takes one to know one. It's great. It's great because 25 years of getting abused, right? It goes into the core of your soul. and you really do believe, I still believe that I am worth less than other people, even though intellectually I know that's not true. But somehow inside my psyche, it feels that that's the case. Hypersensitive hearing. Yeah, well, that's how I was able to learn Italian when they were teaching me French, because Italian was next door. And um, it's not hypersensitive hearing per se. It's not that they have better hearing skills. It's that their brains do not filter out information as well. And the past keeps echoing. That's exactly right. In fact, I could not tell the difference. And once again, you'll see all this in the book, but I could not tell the difference between the past and the present until I was medicated in my mid-20s. Before that, I could never forgive anyone for anything, because people would say that's in the past. And I'd be like, how does that make any difference? That's like saying it's on the second shelf, not the first shelf. They are both as real. My brain can recall things from the past as well as if they happened 1 minute ago. And that might be the case with some high-functioning autistics. That's it. GoFundMe.com, GAbSmacked, $50, anonymous mailing address for sign the book. Done. Theory of everything says it's a back and forth influence. It's all the same. Well, quantum mechanics teaches us that the past, that's for Gabversity. We'll get back to that. But the past and the present and the future all exist already in 4 dimensions. Yes. In fact, the universe is like a 4-dimensional sphere, with the inside being the past, and then there's a layer of each timeline over and over and over and over, and that the consequence of that is that the universe looks like it's expanding. But that's because in 4 dimensions we're getting into the outer layers. You did a video on that last night. Oh, small world. No Tifa, shave your armpits, take your scarf off. Oh shit, did I just say that on a public scope? All right, I was talking about me. I was wearing a scarf and I had hairy armpits. So I'm talking about me. That's why I said that on a public scope. Yeah. Yeah, I know, that's so bad. That is the cutest. Yeah. All right, so what else? So I'm going to hide everyone's chats. I'm really sorry, I have to hide them right now because I really have to tell this story. So her son was now at the point where I'm sure he was almost suicidal. And I would tell his mother to her face that she was the problem. And yet she's still a diehard supporter. And I have so much respect for her for being able to handle me saying that, because even till now, I don't get that humans can't take that stuff very well. And that's probably one of the reasons I'm a free speech absolutist. I think that's part of the autism, I'm sure. I don't tolerate any censorship. Do not tolerate it. I don't tolerate it. I don't like it. If someone says, I'll see you in 5 minutes and they're there in 10 minutes, it pisses me off. I don't like it when I see people go, really charming people. I don't like really, really charming behavior, because to me, in my autistic brain, it looks like shit talking, and I can't handle that shit at all. Can't handle it. I just my blood just goes crazy. And that's a weakness on my side, because they might be the nicest people and I'm just misunderstanding. So anyway, she said to my mum, I don't know what to do about my son. I've taken him to all these psychiatrists. I don't know how to help him. And then my mum said to her, well, my son is an autistic savant. Maybe he can help. So she brought me over to her house. And as soon as I met the son, who actually had stopped now talking to anybody, I sat with him, and within a few minutes we were chatting. It was easy. I knew immediately that I saw someone who was basically me 10 years before, who had not yet learned how to properly mimic human beings. So he would sit there, and then it was very easy, to immediately get into his head and to allow him to share his thoughts. And from that point, over a 6-month period, I was able to get him to function, to focus, well, at least as much as I can focus, and get back into university. He went back and studied mathematics. Turns out he's a bit of a math genius. I had to give him back his confidence, take him out into public, force him and tricked him into talking to girls and stuff like that. And ultimately, it failed in the sense that I didn't get him to where I thought I could. But it awakened him to the point that he's now still studying, and he's going to boot camp, and he's trying to force himself to become a bit more independent. The problem is, as much as I admire his mother for really going through a lot of shit and not knowing really how to deal with her son, because she's like the most neurotypical person in the world. She's all emotion and not much logic, right? Which is basically a neurotypical human being. And she put up with my criticism, and I have to give that to her, because most neurotypicals can't handle what I say. As you saw, I got kicked out of the uni for being for what? I didn't even do anything, right? Just being what, I don't know. I don't even know. Being straight, whatever that is. Anyway, so I said to the mother, you are the problem because you make your son dinner. When there's no food in the house, you go get food and leave it in the freezer. If your son doesn't eat, then you force him to get up and eat. If he doesn't make his own dinner, you make him dinner. All of these are, to me, disgusting. They're making it worse. And you need to stop doing that. Now, she, as of today, is still unable to do that. She's trying her best, but she's unable to. And so there clearly is something that a mother has, a bond with their child, that I cannot understand at all. So it's something, once again, that I infer. I don't see it. I don't feel it. I infer it, because even after everything she's gone through, and she knows that what she's doing is wrong, she can't help it, because it's her son, it's her baby. And if it was me, I would throw him onto the street. I'm not kidding. I would put him out on the street and say, go find your own place to live. Let's meet up again in 6 months. And people might think that's harsh, but I think that's because you underestimate how strong a male can be if given the right circumstances. Men thrive on strength. They thrive on responsibility. The harder life is for them, the stronger they become. And so, people think it's horrific that I was kicked out of my family's house in the Middle East and had to hitchhike for 4 months and find food. But that changed my life and made me who I am today. I came back to Australia, hit the gym, and I've never stopped ever since then. I just love being healthy. I love eating the right foods. I love being strong. I love helping other people. None of that would have happened if it wasn't for that situation. Now let's bring everybody back. Please, RT, his GoFundMe page. I'm not a tweeter, however, I'll probably share him with a few select members. Extremely valuable human. His page, book. All right, I just got 5 or 6 compliments all at once. That's awesome. Awesome stuff. It's so weird because I'm not even saying anything that I think is so bizarre. I'm just saying what I think. So that's a mad compliment. Pretty cool. So that's the story, really. That was the first story. So that was the first lady that was amazing. There was another lady before that who's the one who organizes these speeches, and the one who sold all those books. Needs a gut check once in a while. As a mother of an autist. That's so cool. Speaking of Twitter, Gab, have you been checking your Twitter? Not really. The evicting child is counterintuitive to mothering instincts, yeah. Now, obviously, I'm not saying do that, because heaven forbid, right? Like, you might, let's say someone takes my advice and does that, and then their son dies of starvation. So, then they'll blame me. So I'm not saying do that, right? I'm not saying do that. What I'm saying is that coddling the child is definitely the wrong way to go. So, this lady has fights with her husband all the time. Her husband says, leave him the F alone, kick him out of the house, let him learn the hard way. And the more that she coddles him, the more hard-ass the father gets. So he now gets to the point where he's even irrational. This is not clinical advice, absolutely. So the father's becoming irrational as well. The father's like freaking, let him drink water from a toilet bowl. I'm exaggerating, right? But he's getting to the point where he's just had enough. And the more he does that, the more coddling the mother gets. So once again, that's blowback. The same as politics, right? So if my kid won't eat, don't make him eat. He will eat when hungry. Yes, we underestimate our children's ability to survive. So, here's the thing. I could be wrong. That's what concerns me, right? That he's not capable of anything. Oh my God, Jennifer, that is exactly right. You need to tell him I need to hear that. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad. Well, you're very young, so if you hear it now, it's really good. Yeah, see, like, for example, my mother wouldn't tolerate it. If I didn't eat, she'd say, go to bed hungry. And that might sound harsh, but my mother was rough as guts. Like, she's like one of the hardest, hard-ass business people Enable versus empower. I love that. I love that. The secret to raising a fake leftist child is enablism. And so toughness, may I be added to your private group chat on Scope? Absolutely. If you become a Patreon member, you will definitely get into my top group. And the minimum is $1 a month, Patreon/GAbSmacked. And it's $1 Australian, so I think you'll only get charged 70 cents. And you can certainly come in. Absolutely, my dear. And it doesn't even obviously that doesn't cover what I do, because I all of my private scopes end up going into the Patreon account as well. They're all archived there as well. You have access to all that. Kids need to know we have faith in their decisions. Yes. Jennifer Briggs, I think you should be giving this frickin' scope. That's 100% correct. I will check out Patreon. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Absolutely. I know what it's like to basically have more expenses than income. I don't know, appointment. Have a good day, Gabs. You too, no Tifa. No Tifa. So, see you later. Yeah, evening. I have to go to sleep because I've got to get up and work again tomorrow, which is going to drive me crazy. But it's good in a way because I get to meet humans. See, I wouldn't really see humans if I wasn't doing this bus job. So in a way, it's good to do it once a week. Because, how are you? Good, good, thanks. How are you? Welcome aboard. That's lovely. How's your day? Lovely weather outside. Isn't it very late where you are? Yeah, I think it is. It is 1:14 a.m. at the moment. So I'll probably go now. I think I've given you enough information on the autistry for now. And we shall talk more about autism as we progress. Gabversity, man, what a nuclear bomb that's been, huh? That's been alive for 2 weeks and we're up to 145 followers. I had 650 people watch our quantum mechanics thing. It's been quite a week. I'm surprised how good it was, yeah. I owe it. This scope is dedicated to all those mothers. I think there's been about 8 of you now who have approached me personally, both in real life and on Facebook. Love Gabversity. I love having you there, man. I love your comments. I love them. It's so much fun. Where facts don't care about your feelings. Hugs to all of you, man. That's amazing. I will sleep well now. I'm very excited. I get really excited now. I can't contain my excitement. All right, bye-bye.